Vancouver fan base doesn't have a lot of feel good stories going on right now. You have Brock Besser, you have the continued development of Bo Horvat, and this. So when Elias Pettersson was drafted, he's drafted number 5 in 2017. He's drafted after Hischier, Patrick, Heiskanen, and Makar. Um, I personally was upset Makar went earlier. I thought that getting Makar on the Canucks blue line would be good. And I kind of hoped for Cody Glass as well. Pettersson, I'm like, oh, okay, so he's Swedish. Okay. All right. Going down that road again. If you look over Vancouver's history, very rich Swedish history. And I appreciate that history very much. And it goes back to Thomas Gradin, guys like Prolov Brassar. And yet, you kind of in the back of your mind thinking maybe they'll draft a Canadian or an American and really start building this North American core. And yet, Pettersson has outperformed, I think, what any of us thought he would. With that 48th point that he got in his 39th game, and right now, depending on which site I look at, either he has 50 points in 40 games or he has 51 points in 40 games. I think it's 51 and 41. I don't know. All I know is he's trying to track down Kent Nilsson's record. So he passed Peter Forsberg's record for a kid under the age of 20 with his 48th point, and now he's chasing Kent Nilsson. Kent Nilsson scored the most amount of points by a player who was junior age with 54, and he's likely going to get there. And he's playing against men, and there's a reason that Canucks fans are excited. He's only 19 years of age. Everybody's projecting him to be really high up. I think the interesting thing is going to be, so Rangers fans are excited about Elias Anderson, and they should be as well. And Buffalo fans are stoked about Casey Middlestad. You had Casey Middlestad to Buffalo next year, and whatever they draft this year, and maybe Buffalo starts getting a heck of a lot better, a heck of a lot quicker. And it's interesting because you look at the draft this past June, and there's a couple of high end guys, Heischer and Patrick, and Heiskanen might be a high end defenseman, and then after that, it's kind of we don't know. And there's a lot of guys who might have a decent upside, and they might be decent players, but we don't know. Um, and we're not even getting down to guys like Velarde. I thought at the time this draft's probably going to surprise people. And Pettersson, if you did the redraft now, there's Canuck fans who would say, oh well, he'd be first. I don't know about that because he's sure putting up points in the NHL, which is more impressive than putting up points in the Swedish league. And it's not meant as an insult to the Swedish league. It's just the NHL is the best league in the world, and if you can put up points there, you can put up points anywhere. And I have optimism for Pettersson. My only concern is we see he's beating Forsberg's record, and he's a center, and we get it in our head like, okay, he's going to be the big star that the Canucks really need. This is it. He's going to be the guy. Um, there are players who play really well in the European leagues and don't necessarily have that game translate to the American leagues, whether it's in the American League itself, the AHL, or the National Hockey League. I am optimistic when it comes to Pettersson. I am absolutely ecstatic about him potentially playing for the Canucks next year. Interestingly enough, I want to say Vaxho is the name of the team. I'm sure I'm butchering that. But their GM has come out and said that he thinks Pettersson should spend another year in the Swedish league. I think he just wants to see Pettersson for another year for his team. Um, the biggest surprise to me is he doesn't play for Modo, because I'm used to Canucks getting guys from Modo and Canuck connections with Modo, but I don't care who he plays with. The way he's playing is very, very inspiring, because maybe there's hope. That's all we can sell the Canuck fans on right now, because ideally, and this is just going to be me pie in the sky right now. I'm just going to move the Canucks logo there. So you've got Besser on the right side. I'll put Berchi in here because Berchi's still part of this team. And I really think it's going to be Pettersson. You've got Horvat, and then it's wide open. You can't. You can project in guys that should get in there, but that's the hope, is that that's the backbone of the team going forward. And yeah, Leipzig might get in there, and Gaudette might get in there, Cole Lind might get in there. But again, there's a large number of players who could be, might be, maybe. But this is really truly what Canuck fans want. And then of course Levy would fit in on the blue line. But um, for fans going forward, that's how they want to see it as soon as next year. So when I see people talk about, oh, if they bring back the Sedins, that would just suck. Yeah, the Sedins would be at best third liners. The idea is that Pettersson takes over, Horvat, and then I mean if you had down the middle, if it was, and I'm just putting Sutter in there. It's not the ugliest center spot in the league. I know it's one of the most expensive, and I'm aware of how much they're paying Sutter, but I think that's ideally where it ends up. But that's the kind of hype that Pettersson has to deal with right now. He is being hyped up as, hey, look, he just passed Forsberg and he's closing in on Kent Nelson. I hope the kid can live up to it, because Vancouver desperately needs scoring in fusion. And for people who are like, come on, project out the whole Canucks lineup, it's not time for that. Season previews are in July, late July, and we can get into that then. But between now and then, I'll just do partial little things like this. But there you go. Elias Pettersson breaks the record of Forsberg's and is closing in on the record of Kent Nelson. So all the best to the kid. If he does, great. If he doesn't, that's fine. I hope that he provides for the Canucks the kind of explosive offense that he clearly is in the Swedish league. If you haven't seen the highlights of what he's been doing over there, look them up. The kid looks legit, but I want to see him on a North American ice surface. I want to see him against National Hockey League opposition before I come out and say, yep, done. I know he's a blue chip guy. It's just we've been through the Cody Hodgsons, the Jordan Schraders, the guys who are supposed to be the guy, and then sorry, nope. And it's hard when you get bit that many times to go, okay, now's the time. Sort of like the situation with Leafs fans last year, where they wanted to believe the team was good now, but they couldn't, and they had a hard time because it had been so long. So for Canuck fans, we have that with prospects, where there's been a long list of guys who just haven't quite been. And I know Besser's there and Horvat's there, and they've been excellent prospects. And Berchi looks like it was a good trade from Calgary's, maybe from Calgary's perspective too. I don't know about that, but it was a good trade from the Canucks' perspective, getting Berchi. So there are some good things going on in Vancouver. It's just sometimes hard to find. But there you go. Thank you very much for watching. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And there's your Elias Pettersson video. I'll talk to you again soon.